Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I'm Ken Cruz here in Washington, D.C. It's Saturday, December 18th, 2021, here in the nation's capital. This week's stories. President Joe Biden warns Americans about the winter of death. Thomas Likeness reports about the spread of Omicron and why vaccination isn't enough to stop it. That story and more on this week's Correspondent at Large. From Mind Your Business, May Ann Manzano-Guerzon reports about a French law pushing for gender quotas in executive positions. My Lesson Bulletin gives us some winter weather tips for the home. Free screening of Juror 8, a Korean film presented by the Korean Cultural Center. That's for this week's Embassy Files with Arlene Ocampo. For Oceania at a Glance, Echo Hortaleza Quinola lets us tag along with her to Palm City Market, where small businesses are the stars of the show. For Color My World, Genevieve Pahe will show us how easy it is to paint a winter forest scene with snowy trees. Learn to make cheesy bacon-stuffed mini peppers and a mini deep dish cheese pizza. That's for this week's Behind the Counter with Aika Era. Our coverage begins now. Latest reports have the number of COVID-19 infections here in the U.S. at more than 50 million. For COVID-related deaths, the U.S. has also reached a grim milestone. The count stands at over 800,000. A few months ago, U.S. political leaders were talking about turning the corner on the pandemic. A few days ago, however, President Joe Biden painted a more bleak picture. Here's his warning to the unvaccinated.
We are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for unvaccinated, for themselves, their families, and the hospitals they'll soon overwhelm.
Acknowledging the likelihood that Omicron variant will continue to spread, President Biden emphasized the importance of being vaccinated.
Omicron is here. It's going to start to spread much more rapidly at the beginning of the year, and the only real protection is to get your shots. If you get one shot, you haven't gotten it yet, that'll help. If you're at the point where you have everything, including your booster, you're in really good shape. So move now. Move now.
The White House statement came as the G7 called the Omicron variant the biggest threat to global public health. Across the Atlantic, Britain saw more than 88,000 COVID infections, a second consecutive record daily number. The World Health Organization says the Omicron strain has been reported in 77 countries and is probably undetected in many other nations. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the United States is the hardest hit country. In the first 2 weeks of December, the average daily cases of infection spiked in the United States by 35%. Health experts are saying that at the pace Omicron is spreading, vaccination is not enough to stop it. So what do we do? This story and more from Thomas I. Likeness, our correspondent at large.
Worldwide, at this time of year, people of different cultures celebrate holidays close to their hearts. And while many had hoped for looser restrictions this year, an opportunity, to host large gatherings of family and friends, standing in the wings is a villain waiting to steal their holiday joy. Omicron, we all know the name of that variant of COVID, the latest one. Omicron stands ready to take all of the fun out of our year-end jubilation. The latest bad news comes from the director of the European Union's health agency. Dr. Andrea Ammon says vaccination alone is not enough to stop the spread of Omicron. She says there's too many unvaccinated people worldwide and not enough time to immunize them all. What does that mean, Dr. Ammon?
As we have said before, a rapid reintroduction and strengthening of non-pharmaceutical interventions is necessary to reduce the ongoing Delta transmission, slow down the spread of the Omicron variant of concern, and keep the COVID-19 related burden manageable.
Sounds to me like she's calling for tougher restrictions. Are there lockdowns in the future? Don't know. Too early to say. But there will be restrictions. Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, he's the head of the World Health Organization. Dr. Tedros says he's alarmed at just how contagious this variant is.
77 countries have now reported cases of Omicron, and the reality is that Omicron is probably in most countries, even if it hasn't been detected yet. Omicron is spreading at a rate we have not seen with any previous variant.
Conclusion? We're entering the third year of this pandemic, a fifth wave in the new year, and that means more stress on healthcare and global economies. And while all of this happens, anti-vaxxers around the globe protest against immunization and public health restrictions. This being done against the backdrop of a grim milestone in the United States. COVID-19 deaths this past week surpassed the 800,000 mark and show no signs of slowing. In a country where vaccines are available at no charge, where other parts of the world are crying for them, can't get them. It's shameful to see COVID tightening its grip on America because of a lack of personal responsibility. How many family members or friends of yours have refused to be vaccinated? Do you discuss it with them? Or is it one of those topics you just uncomfortably avoid? Pretend it isn't there. That elephant isn't even in the room. Up here in Canada, the folks at Léger Opinion, in a poll commissioned for the Association for Canadian Studies, they took the pulse of the nation on this issue. First, 4 out of 10 people asked say they know someone who is not vaccinated. Well, does the topic come up? In most cases, no. 70% say they don't bother to discuss it, and about half of those who don't discuss it say they've just given up trying to convince people of the error of their ways. But about 1 in 8 will argue with the unvaxxed, and 1 in 10 have written off the unvaccinated, saying they avoid them or just no longer speak to them. But with the holiday season approaching, how many of these people would allow an unvaccinated person into their homes? Less than half. 57% say no vaccine, no invitation. These questions were asked earlier this month between December 3rd and 5th. And this is obviously one topic that most Canadians will be declining to discuss at the dinner table with guests over the holiday season. Until next week, Thomas I. Likeness, correspondent at large, Eagle News.
Thanks, Thomas. In France, the country now requires that large businesses comply with gender quotas in their executive positions. This further gives women and men equal management opportunities at the workplace. To tell us more, Mayan Manzano Guarzon reports for this week's Mind Your Business.
France adopted a law forcing large companies to raise the number of women in top management positions and report publicly on progress. The move comes a decade after France made it mandatory for big businesses to have women make up at least 40% of their boards, but the government said this initiative had failed to trickle down into executive positions. The member of the parliament sponsoring the law, Marie-Pierre Rixan, said it was seeking real economic and professional equality for women by calling for companies of more than 1,000 staff to have at least 30% women among top managers and in leadership committees by 2027 and at least 40% by 2030. In 2030, companies will have 2 extra years to comply with the rules, after which they can be fined if they fail to do so. They will also have to publish their progress on the Labor Ministry's website every year, exposing themselves to possible naming and shaming. Elizabeth Moreno, French minister in charge of gender equality, said that the glass ceiling between corporate management bodies and boardrooms is still perfectly impenetrable and salary inequalities remain. In 2019, women represented 43.6% of board members of France's 120 top-listed companies, compared with just over 26% in 2013. Mayan Manzano-Garzon, Aston, Pennsylvania, Eagle News.
Thanks, Mayan. Winter is coming. Or is it already here? Are you and your home ready? To help us prepare for winter blues, Myla Simbolan files this report. Myla?
Winter is coming here in Pennsylvania and other parts of Northeast, and with temperatures continue to drop, here are some tips to save money on utility bills by winterizing your homes. Home winterization can keep homes warmer while using less energy and costing less money. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the average Pennsylvania family consumes more than 10,000 kilowatt hours of electricity annually and spends more than $2,000 per year on energy bills. Half the energy consumed in Pennsylvania homes is for space heating. Fortunately, homeowners can take small steps to make their home safe and more efficient. One of those tips is set back the thermostat. Each degree lowered can save up to 3% on heating. A programmable thermostat, which costs as little as $20 at a local hardware store, can be programmed to be set back automatically at designated timeframes, saving residents more energy and money. You should also clean warm air registers, baseboard heaters, and radiators regularly and make sure they are not blocked by furniture, carpeting, or drapes. Weather strip windows and exterior doors where you can feel leakage. Check the bottom of the door to see if there is a gap. If there is a gap of a quarter inch or more, significant air can flow in and out of the house. Install a door sweep on the bottom of the door. Weather stripping for the windows and doors is available in foam, rubber, vinyl, and metal. For homes without storm windows, consider purchasing a window insulator kit. Install insulating drapes or curtains for windows that still feel drafty after weatherizing. You can also use the sunlight to heat your home by opening the curtains on south-facing windows during sunny days and close all curtains at night. Do not heat unused spaces other than as needed to prevent freezing of pipes. Close vents in unused rooms. Following all these tips will help you save money on your winter energy costs. So let's be ready, stay warm, and safe this winter. This is Myla Simbolan, Eagle News.
Winterization is key. Thanks, Myla. For this week's Embassy Files, it's movie time. Arlene Ocampo tells us what we can watch for free. Arlene?
In the mood for a Korean movie? Not quite K-drama, but a true story. The Embassy of the Republic of Korea and the Korean Cultural Center present K-Cinema at Home, Juror 8.
Based on a true story, this is about 8 individuals called to be part of a jury. It is Korea's first jury trial, a murder case. In 2008, a man was accused of assaulting an elderly woman while trying to rob her house. The movie consists of 8 jurors. All believe it should be a guilty verdict, except for that one person, juror number 8. Juror number 8 is new to the process of being a juror and doesn't want to make any abrupt decisions without asking further questions. His belief to question those in power might just turn things around. To find out what the verdict is, visit overseas.mofa.go.kr for viewing details of this free screening until December 19th.
Stay tuned for more from the nation's capital. Arlene Ocampo, Embassy Files, Eagle News.
Thanks, Arlene. There's still time to sign up. Visit overseas.mofa.go.kr. Meanwhile, in Port Moresby, small to medium-sized businesses are the stars of the show at the SME Fair. Echo Hortaleza Quinola tells us why this is such a boost the economy needs right now. Here's this week's Oceania at a glance.
The practice of basic management is a reason to support local businesses in Port Moresby. It is an opportunity to enable the residents to engage in profitable innate skills and talents. The Small and Medium Enterprises or SME Fair is thriving in Port Moresby City Market. This was launched by the Governor of the National Capital District, Honorable Poes Parkop, along with the NCD SME Service Center. This is also a development project of the Pasco Promotions, headed by Sylvia Pasco, an entrepreneur who makes business and economic empowerment accessible to all through inclusive platforms.
We have POM City Markets on right now. It's supported and organized by Pasco Promotions and Events Company. POM City Markets, it's a local SME market where we organize for local SMEs to sell their items, local products such as arts and craft, locally sewn clothing. It's basically open or they sell a variety of items, as you can see. Special sales going on, so we invite public to come and check our markets.
They do this carving as a hobby, and some of them do it as a trade. Yeah. So that is why we selling these things, just to assist the carvers from the village, and to also making sure that we expose the very unique artwork.
Held at Waigani, this event was with wide array of Papua New Guinea clothes, bilum bags, artifacts, trinkets, carvings, paintings, baskets, and other homegrown Papua New Guinea products. The Pasco Promotions provide safe and bigger spaces accessible to both sellers and buyers. Shoppers from different races were truly amazed of how creative and artistic the citizens of this country are.
Fantastic. There's such a wide range of artifacts from all over Papua New Guinea, so it's not just from Port Moresby. So it's been quite lovely, and we've had a bit of a drought, haven't we, Clem, with markets? They've been cancelled for the last few months, so it's nice to be out again. And they're so beautifully handmade, handcrafted, like beautiful fans. I bought billums and some plants because, yeah, beautiful things here.
Port Moresby City Market and Pasco Promotions believe that when they all grow together, they will all grow stronger. Supporting local entrepreneurs and widening SME networking opportunities will be a great help in uplifting Papua New Guinea's economic growth. Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Oceania at a glance, Eagle News.
Thanks, Echo. Now it's time to tap into our creative side. If you have brushes, paint, and a blank canvas, please feel free to paint along. Or you can just sit back, relax, enjoy this calming class by Genevieve Pahe for this week's Color My World.
Hello, I'm Genevieve Pahe. It's winter here in Texas. And what better way to capture the beauty of the season than by painting it? Join me as I create a winter forest scene using an acrylic paint as the medium. Let's get started.
Art, in my opinion, is a way of life. It helps us to communicate in a different personal language. It's an expression of one's feeling and cultural appreciation. Let's start the painting by preparing our tools. I'm using a heavy body acrylic paint, an 11 by 16 smooth canvas, and these brushes to create the snowy pine trees, a palette knife for mixing paint, and a large flat brush for the background. also going to use a toothbrush as a splatter. Having a glazing medium or any blending medium will help us to get a seamless background. And here are the paints that I'm going to use. Let's have fun! First, we have to make a sketch of how the landscape would be. Using a mixture of phthalo blue, burnt umber, and unbleached titanium to make a bright background. As Barbara's quoted, we don't make mistakes, only happy little accidents. A major snowstorm hit Texas last winter. It was definitely a unique yet challenging time for Texans that truly affected everyone. This inspired me to paint the winter landscape. Something magical happens in the winter when the snow starts to fall. Everything gets really quiet and peaceful. My family and I, we loved staring out the snow-coated, shimmering trees. To make the snow look brighter, I valued the deep color of the night sky. I love how the white paint can be flaked on the surface to create a snow effect. It's truly a magical winter wonderland thing, just like a dream.
I hope you enjoyed how to make a winter forest painting. Tune in next time for more creative tutorials. Genevieve Pahe, Color My World, Eagle News.
Thank you, Genevieve. I'm hungry. I know you are too. And you know what that means. Put on your aprons and let's get to work for this week's Behind the Counter with Aika's recipes for cheesy, bacon, stuffed mini peppers and mini deep dish cheese pizza.
Hey, I'm Aika, and welcome back to Behind the Counter, where we see easy and tasty meals be brought to life. In this episode, we give you a slice of the action and spice things up with some delicious finger foods. First up, stuffed peppers. You pepper believe this is going to be a good one. Next up, just so we don't get too cheesy with you, we have a mini deep dish cheese pizza. Check back here for full recipes, and if there's a dish that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments below. Catch us on EagleNewsLive.com, on our Eagle News YouTube channel, and our Facebook page. Check back next week when we go Behind the Counter.
Thank you again, Ika. On my way to the grocery store to get those easy-to-find ingredients. And thank you all for watching. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I'm Ken Cruz. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.